So obviously, looking back at the Washington game, there's a lot of things that we can correct, and there's many things that we could coach better. And that's where we need to put our focus right now, is just improving ourselves, getting better. We're excited for this one to be able to, compete again against a team that we'll become familiar with here in the next year. And so it's a great matchup, very similar kind of progression throughout the season, very similar as far as how they played Washington and how we played initially Washington. And so, yeah, it'll be a great matchup.
Coach, one thing that I'm sure maybe stood out on the tape or even just stood out during the game is just how much Williams hurt you guys with his legs. And it kind of goes back to what Wood did in the Idaho game as well. What have you kind of seen on tape that maybe indicates why mobile quarterbacks have been a bit of a problem so far?
Well, just that. They're mobile, obviously, and we got to be able to contain them with four. We got to be able to blitz and self-create pass rush. And then we got to be able to tackle and finish. There's a couple times that we had them wrapped up and we just didn't finish the play. So continues to harp on grabbing cloth and finishing plays and playing with great effort and then taking better angles more than anything else. There's many times that he was able to cut across our face and make us miss. But kid's a great quarterback. Kid's going to make a lot of people pay. Not that it's an excuse. We got to get better at the things that we need to improve at. And I'm excited for this week to be able to do that.
What did the tape show just to you on what maybe kind of caused problems running the ball again?
You know what? I honestly thought that this is one of the, the results don't scream, the yards don't scream, but as far as some of the things that we did better technically, it was there, and then it kind of faded at times, and we got to be able to stay on blocks, surging into the line of scrimmage as far as being able to create a dent. At times we cut off track at running back, and then at other times we kind of won with the block and then ended up position blocking and kind of getting knocked backwards and people falling off to make plays. So there was some slight improvement as far as the technique standpoint, but again, we got to continue to take steps in the right direction in run blocking. There's no question about it.
Are those problems you guys can turn around in short order?
Well, we're trying right now. That's the goal, is that we get better week to week. We're not ignoring it and saying, poor me. If there's one thing I regret from Saturday, it's the comments in here. Nobody brought me in here to make excuses about things that we don't have. And then I see a soundbite, everything's a soundbite, about my comments that I made. They brought me in here to help create a winning program. I need to do that and keep my mindset on that and not complain about things that in the moment I don't control. I control the attitude of this football team, and we got to get ready to play our best football. It's easy to make excuses, and everything I've said to the team, I become hypocritical on what I say when I say things like that. And so more than anything, I probably apologize to the Coug fans and the administration as far as, that even coming out of my mouth, because nobody cares. And I've said it before, nobody's going to save us right now. We got to save ourselves. We got to commit to the process. We got to compete. We got to find a certain level of focus and passion to step on the field with and compete. And we're not going to stop trying. I can promise you that. And play a certain level of grit to keep us in games and then try to close people out in the fourth quarter. What we don't have is an excuse on why we played the way we did. We had the opportunity to win a game. We didn't, and we need to learn from it, grow from it, let it sting because it stung, and we got to get better.
With the defense after the game, you said that part of it was kind of mistakes you guys were making on your own, and part of it was just, the product of playing a great offense like Washington's. A day or two later, is that kind of where you still stand, or what can you guys?
Well, they're great players, but I just addressed that with the last, my last answer. We got to make plays. We brought players here that I know can make tackles. They missed tackles. There's certain players that are on the field that had an opportunity to finish a play, whether it be on the quarterback or Coleman, and we didn't execute. There were certain situations where we have the opportunity to make a one-on-one tackle, we miss the tackle. They're great players, but if we're going to play at this level, we got to find guys that can make those plays, obviously, and we got to find the guys that are on the field got to execute the call and do it the right way at the right speed. And some of it is just like a wrong step here or there, and those things will cost you versus good talent, and they're a good team. And but we hung with them, and we didn't execute on defense to give ourselves a shot. And it was part of the offense, it was part of Zevi. And I was just we had an opportunity, we just didn't execute.
Coach, understanding that not every successful pass rush ends in a sack, it seemed like you guys were able to generate a lot of pressure, rushing the passer this past week. How does that continue? And guys that, want to get those sack numbers, maybe don't get them. How do they, stay on it and keep, trying to apply that pressure?
Yeah, I think I get asked a lot in this defense about sacks, and I think it's the ability to create pressure, whether it's sacks, quarterback hits, moving the quarterback off target. We were able to do that in a lot of capacity. We just weren't able to finish on the quarterback scrambling and catching him or finishing the tackle that we had there. But we were able to create a situation to have success in throughout the drive. We didn't execute the next play a lot of the time. So example of that is the first play of defense, right? We get a sack, and then 2nd and 17, they were not aligned at the right depth in his own defense when it's 2nd and 17. Like, those things can't happen. Comes with experience, but it also comes with coaching, and it's on us.
You guys in Colorado State have both played Washington. When you have a common opponent like that, does it make it easier to scout for the week?
Yeah, and they're evolving like how we're evolving. I do think Coach Norvell does a great job as far as I've watched him over the years through multiple of the places that he's been, and they're always competitive. They always play with a certain level of edge. The kids on that team are competitive. And this will be a tough matchup, and I'm excited for this. Obviously, going to be a future conference opponent, and we're going to see each other many times. And I do believe he has a good team with him right now. They had a tough loss last game, but I think UTSA had some pieces too that transferred in that are pretty special as well. So we're not taking anybody for lightly in any way. We can't. We got to get ready to improve ourselves this week and put our focus on this one game.
What kind of things have you seen from them? What are you preparing for matchup-wise?
Well, they got as of what I know right now, the quarterback that's been playing, they're going to play the backup quarterback who's, he is a good quarterback, and I felt like the other quarterback had a couple really good games. I thought he played well versus Washington. Skill set wise, I do think that their O-line is big and they're long, and they do a good job in the run game, and then they do a good enough job in spreading the ball out to a lot of skilled position players. Got a 6'8" tight end that can be a mismatch just off of length. I think their defense is stout up front and are really physical, and they play hard and they play together. So anytime that you see the effort show up consistently from one game to the next, regardless of the score, it's always going to be a tough matchup, and that's what we expect.
3-star prospect wide receiver Hudson Lewis flipped commitment from here to Utah. Any comments on that, and what does that mean for the future commitment
I can't
class?
talk on recruits.
And then what's the biggest challenge you see Colorado State present on the road?
Well, obviously it's an away game for us, and we got to prepare to go on a road in what we expect to be a hostile environment. I've played there before. It's a great atmosphere. The quarterback is, does a good job. They got multiple threats. They, put in kind of reserve quarterback, and he's done a good job as far as being a really good athlete. I feel like the running back is solid. Offensive line is really long, and they got skill on the perimeter to compete. So defensively, they throw a lot of different looks at you, and they're physical up front, and they play hard together, and we got to be able to execute on our end.
So with fourth quarter and last game, 28-0 for Washington at the end there, I mean, with sort of an avalanche of points late, very different than a lot of points at the beginning for the North Texas game, what big lessons can you sort of take from those two losses to move into Colorado State?
Don't turn the ball over and be better on defense.
What's the best way to execute that defensively down the stretch when the opponent has shorter fields like that if turnovers occur?
Respond, play better defense, and don't complain about the circumstances.
Well, looking at their O-line, obviously you had 25 pressures. It sort of looked like 11 came from one player in particular, one mismatch. How would you evaluate the
Say
pass
that one more
protection?
time. Start over.
Oh, sorry. So it looked like UW generated 25 pressures.
Yeah.
It looked like 11 of them were from Zach Durfee, I believe.
Durfee, yeah.
Yeah. When you have that kind of mismatch, and kind of what lessons can you take from the pass protection? How would you evaluate how pass protection went?
At times kind of oversetting the mark because the kid is really explosive. He does a good job, like going speed to power. And I think our guys maybe jump setting a little too wide to give him the up and under. Some of those were, backdooring or spinning and making plays. Zach Durfee, I know really well. He was at the University of Sioux Falls, which is a Division II school in South Dakota. Unbelievable player. and he's going to be a great player. He's going to have a shot at the league and have a career doing this. We need to get better technically. We got to strike with our hands, reset with our hands, anchor our weight on the bull rush, not lunge with our head. It's a footwork thing. It's a hand placement thing. It's a focus thing. It's understanding where my eyes are at and where my protection and where my help is at. So there's a lot of areas in which we can grow, surely. Overall, we were making plays on that side of the ball. Would love Zevi not to get hit the way he was getting hit at times, but he was competing, and we were able to operate and move the pocket, and he was able to self-create in a sense to find open wide receivers as they're working across the field. So, yeah, there's many areas in the pass game that we need to improve at. We just need to keep taking steps this week.
When it comes to making a road trip, obviously just the second one of the year, but what kind of lessons can you take from the last road trip in terms of just procedure and getting your guys ready for this challenge?
Yeah, don't turn the ball over. Yeah.
And then on the you talked about resources already, but when it comes to elevating this roster and this program to win future Apple Cups, what is the path to doing that?
Locking in, understanding the game plan, coaching better, executing at a really high level. I would say the same thing to win every game. A little bit of me is the prying and asking of the same exact question 30 times over, and me kind of frustrated in the moment. So again, I apologize for kind of what I said. There's a need at every school in the country. Wherever you go, somebody's going to feel like they don't have enough. To be competitive long term, we're going to need the continued support. And I probably didn't do a good enough job of. No, I know I didn't do a good enough job. That was an electric atmosphere. It was awesome, and that's kind of what I envisioned when I came to Washington State. That would be like every single game, and that's what it can be every game. But I understand that we got to put a certain level of product on the field to be proud of, to maybe create that ourselves as well. But I just hope that nobody loses faith in what we can do as a staff, as a team, because if we can generate that, that would generate success a little bit on its own, because people and recruits and even your commits, that when they come back for that game, that's what they envision seeing, and that's what they envision being a part of. And so the more we can do that, and it does a lot for everything, season ticket holders to the merchandise sales to the beer sales to everything. And I think we got to continue to put a competitive product on the field and keep working at that. Right now it's not necessarily what I exactly envisioned or want to be at, but if you ask the team, that's no shock. They want to be better as well. But we're not going to stop competing and trying to become a better team. And that's going to be the same message really throughout the weeks. But if we can continue to show up and have the fans that were supportive and super spirited throughout that game and committed to us fully, we'll have success, because we'll just continue to elevate our games. And our guys were hyped up for that game, and that's what they kind of envision and want to play in front of week in and week out. It's easier to get up for those games. It makes it harder for your opponent to execute on both sides of the ball when the crowd is against you like that. So I was encouraged by that, honestly. I was encouraged by that. I was just a little bit frustrated after the game, and that's probably my biggest regret of the whole weekend is that comment, just because I prided myself on not being that guy that bitches and complains about what he doesn't have. That's how I got to this point. I've been that person my whole life, and I can't bleed into the poor me, so I'm asking the players not to. I got to be an example of that. So that, and as well as what everybody else on the outside world is, or the Coug world is complaining about what we don't have and what conference is realignment. I don't control that either. I control the direction that this program goes, the mindset and the attitude of the players that want to commit to this and want to be here and want to build something special as we do it. We had an opportunity to do that on Saturday. We just didn't execute, and that's unfortunate, but we're not going to stop trying.
What did you see from Zevi and the offense on Saturday that needs to carry over this weekend, the rest of the season, to be successful?
I thought the play selection was good, like the variety of kind of the things that we did. We were able to hit open targets. Our guys caught a lot of contested balls. They caught a lot of balls that were kind of maybe falling, and our guys were going down and getting them. I thought the wide receiver play, for as far as when there wasn't a ton of open or drop passes. We got to run the ball better. I keep saying the same thing. The running game opens up the passing game. So the next article will probably be about me still ramming my head against running the ball. You just have to have success running the football for the wide receiver to get open even more than what they were. Okay, so that and Zevi did a great job creating with his legs. He did a great job moving on the run, and he did a great job leading entirely. So he was never down even after he threw the first pick. He maintained his composure. Took some hits, always finds a way to talk some trash. He's just a competitive kid, and I'm proud of him just about this whole sequence of things.
Is there any real difference to playing at elevation, or is that kind of overblown?
Our guys weren't fazed by it the last time we went there, but that's just on prior experience.
How have you seen Jackson kind of respond to the
Great.
shift?
Great. I think you guys make a bigger deal of how the actual team handles this. You know, you guys, from the outside, it looks like I just leave it hanging the whole week, the whole time. Everybody's known who's running with the ones and who the starting quarterback was. You guys just make it seem like they don't. And the players have been great. Zevi was great. Julian was great. And Jackson's been great. And Jackson, honestly, since I've been here, has been Zevi's biggest supporter, and they are really close. They spend a lot of time watching film together, and they're competing for a position, obviously, or were. And I think they both handled it really mature. And for Zevi to be a senior, the way he handled it and how encouraging he was to Jackson, you know, we beat a good San Diego State team. We're not going to relive that, but we beat a good San Diego State team that just beat Cal they just shut Cal out, right? So there's sparks in there. We need to continue to progress and just take the right steps.
Asked us last week, kind of just follow up, but Sullivan, Carter, Kyle all played this past week as well, assuming they're going to go beyond the 4 now for sure.
Yeah.
And then you're still trying to figure that out with
Yeah.
Trill and Demarius?
Trill, Trill's in a pivotal point right now because he is a guy that we're going to lean on, and he's gotten reps in games and has taken reps at corner. And when you don't notice that a freshman's on the field at times when you watch the film, it just is a good sign because it means he's doing his job and there is no weakness there. So, yeah, Trill, Demarius still managing. You'll see some other young guys in there. We planned on playing Luke Webb a little bit. Just the type of physicality and violence that he plays with can help us. I'm not saying he's playing this week, just saying he was in the mix last week in special teams, and we felt like he could have added a certain level of spark.
Going back to what you were talking about, with the multiple quarterbacks and you liking the play selection, just kind of 3-4 games in, what are you seeing out of Coach Freund that you like?
That he hasn't really let all of this impact his train of thought, and which is improving the team collectively. And obviously, we're kind of frustrated a little bit with the things that we haven't been able to have success at, but we're not turning a blind eye on that. At the same time, we have to make sure that we're utilizing our players the best that they can in order to have success. But overall, the play selection this past game, the play selection versus San Diego State, I thought was really good. Obviously, North Texas, we had movement there, and then we just turned the ball over. So I think we might have didn't open it up as much in the Idaho game, and for the most part, we've kind of been progressing. We just killed ourselves first, North Texas, and we just got beaten this one, and we couldn't get off the field.
You guys were kind of able to scheme Zevi away from some of that pressure with some of those rollouts on Saturday. I'm curious, do you see that as kind of a viable way to have him operate in the offense? Kind of what you see out of him doing that on Saturday?
Well, that's kind of his niche, right? He's better a little bit on the move, and he's better kind of off script at times. You would like to always make sure that he's protected so he doesn't take the hits that he took in the game. Because if he's going to be the guy, he's got to stay healthy and he's got to feel good. And there's some movement piece to that to be able to set a deeper mark for him so that he had a little bit more time to see the actual pressure coming and didn't get blindsided. But overall, he did what we asked him to do, and he had a couple errors in there, obviously, with the ball security portion of things. The 4th and 6 really isn't his fault. That's just the situation of the game, and analytics in that situation tells you go for it on 4th and 12. So we went for it. Obviously, the game we felt was slipping, and we had to make a point to want to compete and get first downs. He kind of got rushed too fast, and he threw an interception. So we'll learn from it. He'll learn from it. I know he was upset and banging himself he was just upset overall. The whole team was, and it's a good sign that we want to be competitive. And the response this morning was much better.
Is there any update on Bryson or Max?
Yeah, unfortunately, Max is hurt, and he won't be playing anytime soon. And Bryson, we're hoping he's made huge jumps in the last 24 hours. We're hoping he'll play this week, but we'll see.
Do you think Max will be out for the season?
I think Max will be out for an extended period of time. Yeah.
Just to kind of follow up with that one, Max, is this where you kind of maybe turn to some of those freshmen that you talked about, kind of what they were able to do in fall camp? Is this a situation where they kind of have to step in so you can keep that 6-man rotation?
Well, we've kind of been dressing Donovan Fitzmaurice the whole time just in case of something like this were to happen, and he's done a really good job. Connor Sullivan's another young guy that he's not going to be in the mix right now. He's still he tore his ACL last fall, so he's still kind of becoming full strength right now, but he's shown flashes. But yeah, Donovan will be in the mix traveling wise, and we got to be able to stay healthy.